Hello Love and Rockets fans, here's Earl Grey, and I'm continuing my run through my Love and Rockets magazines. We are still in volume 1, but already at issue 19, 20 and 21, and these are the three issues that I want to talk today about. Starting with this issue here, with a remarkably actionless yet pretty beautiful cover, but done by Jaime. A flashback, obviously, to the pro-solar mechanic years of Maggie, even though we don't even get Maggie, but Rena Titanian on the cover. On the back we have an ad for one of these countless Fantagraphics anthologies, Prime Arts, Words and Pictures. Like it is with all these issues, we have letters in the front and the back. But I don't want to talk about these because the stories here within these three issues are really strong. In a way, this magazine sets the stage in a lot of ways for the two issues that follow. And we get a lot of the differences between Gilbert and Jaime in terms of their storytelling, because Jaime, in my opinion, is more about the details, about stuff that is a bit more hidden in the dialogue, in the way some character looks, and in general in more the casual day-to-day life, even though some events can turn out in hindsight to be pretty important, like this one of the first encounters of Hopi and Maggie over there. What Jaime and Gilbert are doing here pretty neat is this play with flashback sequences. And Gilbert does the same stuff here with this story that focuses on a character called Israel here, and all of his childhood friends that he visits later on. Here we have him, and it's a good thing that we can see at least a part of these characters that are important on the pages that follow. Not all of them are childhood friends, but yeah, these stories are basically, it's a story that is divided into several parts, entitled after the lovers of Israel, because he's a bisexual guy, and he goes from bed to bed, visits, leaves one friend and goes to the next lady, and then afterwards he sleeps with a man, and afterwards with a girl and or a young woman, and so yeah, connecting all the different threads of different Love and Rockets or Palomar characters in a pretty nifty way, I have to say. Even though I feel this way of storytelling, basically connecting all the characters through the promiscuous lifestyle of this character here, Jaime wouldn't do this. It's a pretty much a Gilbert thing. Here we have a cameo by David Lynch, and not to say that what really makes this character, Israel, interesting is that he's the most lonely character of them all. He has this facial expression does tell it all, and you will see in the next issues that follow some reasons for that. And in the back we have two-page stories by Jaime, almost filler stories, but the man can't do fillers. So this is really important stuff, actually, setting the stage for the next issue with this character here called Speedy. And a nice, moody two-pager with Rena Titanian. in her younger days. And here's issue 20, and I really love it when Gilbert and Jaime do these wraparound covers together or something like this, in which they draw all their characters from Palomar and Hoppers doing some stuff with each other, like in this case dancing here around, and you can do this guessing game, figuring out who is who, which doesn't seem to be so much of a problem, I guess, for the most part, because they're also distinct characters, like this guy Israel from the issue before. Every time when I flip through this page here, I get pretty emotional, because this is my very first page of Love and Rockets that I ever read. In this very fine collection from the German publisher Reprodukt, the Fantagraphics edition is exactly the same. The Death of Speedy. It's full of iconic panels and scenes, and for me it's maybe still the best of the Love and Rockets book ever. This is, of course, obviously due to, it's just the very first book that I read from Love and Rockets, and probably it was fortunate that this is in German, because and so that I kept going with it. I remember feeling quite overwhelmed with this story here. You're pulled right into the story here, that circles around Maggie, and Maggie is in the center, and some kind of cam is almost circling around her and recording all the everyday meetings of friends and family, and you can figure out about her situation in life, and that she has obviously a crush on this guy Speedy, about her sister Esther, and so on and so on. And I remember feeling quite overwhelmed at the first time reading this here, and shaking my head in disbelief and thinking, what I've just read there, and starting again, and don't exactly remember when it kicked on into full gear for me, but obviously it did eventually. And for all of you who may think that the reaction of Love and Rockets fanatics to one of the most recent collections called Love Bunglers is too much, then you have to read one of these old stories about Ray. He pretty quickly actually fell in love with Maggie, but he didn't believe that he has a chance with her, and her love affair is postponed, and oh man. So but Maggie wants to get over her own heartbreak issues with that guy Speedy, and winds up together with her friend Danita, and drinks herself until she's really pissed here. And the dialogue is so snappy, and look at these panels here, it's just perfect from start to finish. And when she leaves the room out of the window, she asks, who the devil has put the ground here? Let's read the proper translation here, because this cracks me up every time I read it. here. Who the hell put the ground right here? Okay, I'm not. I wasn't so far away. Yeah, fantastic story. And how often I said fantastic here in the last minute, but it's so worth it. I mean, you can get comics where you have some iconic scene like this here or so, but pages in which you just can't find one meaningless panel or one panel that shows some flaw. It's really rare, and it adds up just to this fantastic stuff and a pretty melancholic Ray. Yeah, and again, read the story, and before or after you have read Love Bunglers, it doesn't matter. Gilbert's Ray, I feel they're pretty similar in lots of ways, is called Heraclio, and this is the story about his love for his wife Carmen. Very, very wordy, like Gilbert can be sometimes. Jaime can does as well, but Gilbert a bit more often in these early issues. But each and every word is really important here, and we get a summary of events before and some insights here and there. And even though when I say summary, you may say it's skippable, it's totally not, because it really shows us this character of Heraclio, who is called by some of his friends Hercules, for Carmen. And here we have her in a flashback as a little girl, and you can see obviously these Archie vibes here going on. Jaime does this all the time, but Gilbert as well. So here we have Heraclio in a similar cartoony pose here. He is a guy who is a bit of an outsider in this Palomar town, because he went away, he studied, he is educated, and so it's a bit like Ray, who went away from Hoppers and went to school, or pretended to go to school, but he is a bit more the intellectual guy of Hoppers, and like Heraclio is. So it's even though it's so uncool to tell your whole story with caption boxes, it works perfect here. So, and we have a good summary of the whole Palomar world within this Carmen and Heraclio love story. Now to issue 21. Gilbert doing some Picasso stuff with his main character, Luba, like you can see it easily with these two circles. On the back, as they do sometimes when they don't have an ad going on, we have Jaime with two postcard-like pictures of the Hopper's world. Yeah, okay, the first page here is the closest thing you get here in terms of filler. Maybe they had a page left in the end, but it's still a fun little play with the panels, of course. Smashing his head into the fourth wall. Yeah, so I can't tell you how much punk band CDs I burned with this picture on it, and just adding the tracks of the punk bands on it, because I love this picture here so much. The story is called Jerusalem Crickets, and yeah, again, it's a day-to-day life story of the band, of Hopi's band on tour, and they are a very small band. They have to take every gig they could get, and for some speed metal thrash bands, even though their style is obviously not like this. And to rest my case here, the very last panel in this story, or a chapter in the ongoing saga, is nothing else but perfect, in my humble opinion. You get this small speech of the singer Monica. If you were really hardcore, you would have thrown a full bottle, which sums up their bad experiences on their tour so far pretty well, probably. And we get just enough of Hopi to get an impression of her cool, almost disinterested way of playing her bass. And the blackness here says it all, that there's almost no audience there, and the sign in this concert room here, exit, indicates that the story is finished as well. It's just genius, in my very humble opinion, but very strong opinion. And Gilbert here starts the Blood of Palomar storyline that is human diastrophism, and in the German translation it's told that diastrophism means tectonic tensions in the surface of the earth. So human tectonic tensions, which will turn out to be a very proper title for the stuff that is going on here. Well, this framed narration of this corpse here, who says, "They will find me, Tommaso." So probably his murder is Tommaso, and we will soon find about this guy later on. And but then again, in a pretty typical Gilbert fashion, we see almost a list of Luba's lovers before, and the children that were the product of these loves. More or less short encounters with different men. He's the poor guy who really loves her, but she don't want to have be married by him. She's fine with some distant relationship. She's some independent woman, you might say, a strong woman, but of course not without flaws by any means. So we have all the gang around Heraclio and Carmen and all the others, Tonantzin and Ophelia here, the cousin of Luba, who helps her taking care of her many children. So we have this soap opera thing here in full gear, and framed by this still pretty mysterious crime story around this guy here, this corpse that is there on some excavation site. So we will get more of this, what's going on here, and some former lover of Luba arrives here. So is this the last story? Yeah, of course. And Vida Loca. Here we have our guy Speedy, who is almost a MacGuffin for all the stuff that follows later, because he doesn't live too long in this world here. I mean, I could say spoiler alert, but hey, the collected edition is called The Death of Speedy, so what should I do? And yeah, we see Maggie dancing around Speedy dancing around Maggie's sister Esther, and Ray, yeah, pretty hopelessly falling for Maggie, as we all can understand, I think. And there's a sudden twist in the end. So, yeah. Here. This ad here, this is Gary Groth at its finest. Taking some quote from Jim Shooter, who he addresses as one of the enemies of Fantagraphics, or the Comics Journal. As a witness, he takes Jim Shooter as a witness for how great and important the Comics Journal actually is. Yeah. I mean, you just have to love Gary Groth for this, and for, of course, for publishing Love and Rockets the very first time. Now, a quick glimpse into the collected editions. Death of Speedy, as I said it, you can get these and from Fantagraphics as well. Look for the older ones with in this size, and don't collect. At least that's my opinion. Don't get the shrunken down, however they're called, library editions or something. Yeah, no, not library editions. Yeah, don't get these smaller shrunken down editions. Same with Blood of Palomar, and here we have the German one. Of course, there are many more stories within these collected editions that are told to us in following issues. Duckfeed collects the earlier stuff that I've shown you, and stuff from volumes before. Here you can see the very first story from issue 19. So, but they always change the sequence of these stories in these collected editions, so that they may or may not make more sense. But it's always pretty interesting when you follow or look at how they changed the series of these stories here. So, but I think the video is long enough for today, and yeah, thanks for listening and watching. Goodbye.